Hello, everybody. We are now starting on the next portion of Parshas Re'ei. We're on the third portion right now. We're on page 106 of Dvar Malchus, and it's number 7. Actually, we're on page 108. Sorry, on page 108. Let's start with the next. Bayam 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 hayam mam bam ba hayam mam mama uparatsta yama b'kedma tzavayna b'negba uparatsta yama b'kedma uparatsta bayna b'negba farasta, Yama b'kedma tzavayna b'negba, Yama b'kedma tzavayna b'negba, Ayamba mamba, yambamba, yamba mamba. So we're talking about the concept of Elul. The concept of Elul is the abode of the service from below up, Anila Dodi, and then we reach the next level of Dodi Li, my beloved Hashem, is to me. So the Rebbe says that we have that there are two different types of service in one sense. One sense, Anila Dodi, I'm to my beloved, that I change myself and I become change a better person. So therefore, Hashem loves me more. He sees how beautiful I am and happy I am. So I'm to my beloved. I work on myself. And I work hard to make myself a better, beautiful, shining human being. And then we have the level after that, Badodi Li, that Hashem wants to give to us, and it comes to me. It comes into even a higher level, because we said is an idea, to me, is a of infinite, of forever. So basically, the Rebbe is saying that there's a voda that I pray to God, and I work and then Hashem reacts and gives to me. But there's another level that we talk about Badodi Li, which is generally what we're talking about. There's a level Hashem just gives to us, not based on what we want. It just He loves us so much. So therefore, that when we do something and work hard and make ourselves better, therefore Hashem gives to us. But it's only relevant to what we do, because it's based on what we're doing and how we're asking, what we're doing, how we're changing ourselves, how we're praying to God. But when Shem just looks down and sees His beautiful children, He gives to us even much more, not dependent upon what we did. So the Rebbe says is that so in general we see that the concept of Parshas Re'ei Anochi Nosein Lifnechem, this week's Parsha, we're talking about, that it says that Hashem gives over to us His essence inside of us, into us. So the Rebbe explains that this is why we see that this month of Elul, it has the word Elul is an acronym for Anila Dodi, I'm to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. So the whole general service is from below up, but at the same time you have to have the level from above down. You have to realize how special you are and that you have the power to change and do everything. So he says, how do you do this? Because they're two opposite things. He says you have to tie yourself into the essence. And this is what happens, that God, Banochi Nosein Lifnechem, God said, I, Anochi Misha Anochi, goes on God Himself, that He gives into us Himself. So we become God, a part of God ourselves, and therefore we can change the world. We can even work on ourselves and make ourselves better people, but in a much higher level with much more power. And that's where we're holding. So now we're on 7. Okay, so Rebbe says, and we may add, that this idea that the service of man is on high from the start, a level which is above confines and limits, is exceedingly emphasized in the occurrence of Rosh Chodesh Elul on Shabbos. So here where that person is such a special level, when he starts stirring serving God, it's a level beyond everything. So this is emphasizes, it says, how Rosh Chodesh Elul is on Shabbos. How's that work? That this year, when the Rebbe said it, the Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first day of Rosh Chodesh, was on Shabbos. The state, and the standpoint that each and every Jew on the day of Shabbos is on the lofty level. It was so special on Shabbos. Ma'ova level, which is mesme higher, so much higher than his state and standpoint of the weekdays. We're in a Shabbos living. We're living in another plane of existence. Therefore, when Rosh Chodesh occurs on Shabbos, the service of I'm for my beloved, which is the service of man, which is applied Elul, begins with the person as he's found in a state of Shabbos, a Shabbos tigiyah. He's found this beautiful space that everything's wonderful, and he's in a state of rest and Shabbos. So this stains, and when I'm going to go and work on myself and change the world, I come with this state. And is in correlation with this, the service of the month of Elul, that even during weekdays, he continues in the state of standpoint as Shabbos tika manner. So this is emphasizes when Rosh Chodesh starts on Shabbos, because Shabbos is this special time. So this special time where you are, that's you take to do your work, to change the world and change yourself. More in detail with regards to the 2 days of Rosh Chodesh Elul. There's 2 days. Several of the months for which their Rosh Chodesh is comprised of 2 days. Shabbos Rosh Chodesh can be such as that that is on the first day of Rosh Chodesh occurs on a weekday, Friday, and the second day of Rosh Chodesh occurs on Shabbos. Whereas when Rosh Chodesh Elul occurs on Shabbos, it's always such that the first day of Rosh Chodesh is on Shabbos, and the second day of Rosh Chodesh is a weekday, Sunday. So Rebbe said we see a certain thing by this month that when Rosh Chodesh falls on, especially in the month of Elul, not necessarily the other months, it has to be on Shabbos, and that next day is Sunday, the first day of the week. So Rebbe's going to explain something. Here we see something. Rebbe's going to learn something special, and we may say that this is in fact emphasized that the service of I'm for my beloved, from below to above, is not in a manner of from easy to hard. First a weekday manner, and then we come into Shabbos matter. Like we're preparing Shabbos, so we have to do everything until we reach Shabbos, but we did all the work. Rather that from the start, this is very interesting, right beginning, we just take off. That is the manner of Shabbos. I'm a Shabbos Jew. Moreover, the first day of Rosh Chodesh, first also regarding in virtual importance in the concept of Rosh Chodesh, because the first day, which this year occurs on Shabbos, affects and contributes it also to the second day of Rosh Chodesh, which comes out on the first day of the week. So therefore, he's showing more about Shabbos coming out on the first day of Rosh Chodesh. It has a special effect on the second day of Rosh Chodesh during the week. The Rebbe is emphasizing how we have to serve God from this special level, that even what we do in beating our Yetzer Hara or taking care, we have to realize we're doing it from a special level. Like if you realize you're getting upset with somebody or this or that, and all of a sudden you realize, well, I'm a Shabbos Jew. I'm in Geula. I'm in redemption. I'm in a special time. Then you start saying, well, why am I getting upset? Or I maybe had a bad life, whatever it is. But you're doing it from a much higher level, that you're above everything, that you're one with God. But okay, there it says that affects the second day of the Shabbos, that the second day of Rosh Chodesh, which would be on Sunday, and the Rebbe talked about over here, it receives his blessing for Shabbos. That also, that in it there should be the service of I'm for my beloved, the service of man, in a state and standpoint of Shabbos. And through this also throughout all days of Chodesh Elul. So we're pointing out for this year when the Rebbe said it, it's emphasized the idea that we live Shabbos the whole week. That's how we work. We work in a Shabbos-tic way. Now we're in number 8, page 107. And this concept is emphasized even more on the day of Shabbos itself. The first day, which is in this year, the first day of Rosh Chodesh, in the preceding Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh, in the prayers on Shabbos. So here we say, well, how does it work? That even though on this day there are 2 aspects of Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh, we have 2 things, Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh, nevertheless, the aspect of Shabbos precedes and is more emphasized than the aspect of Rosh Chodesh, as emphasized in the prayers of the day, that the prayers that are on Shabbos, as we only mention also the aspect of Rosh Chodesh after the aspect of Shabbos. So we first mention Rosh Chodesh after we talk about Shabbos. Likewise, in the grace after meals, when we're benching, we also are obligated to recite we have to recite from the Torah law, from the written law, that we must first mention the aspect of Shabbos, would say, and afterwards we have mentioned the aspect of Rosh Chodesh, Yalav V'Yova. And this is even more emphasized in the Kiddush recitation of the day, in which we do not mention at all the aspect of Rosh Chodesh. And likewise, even more surprising regarding the Haftorah blessings, that even though the Maftorah is not related to Shabbos, namely the Maftir from the seven Maftiros of conclusion, rather is related to Rosh Chodesh, namely Shemayim Kisi, that the Haftorah for Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, that's the Haftorah of Rosh Chodesh, that although with the first and last verses, Malchus Chodesh, the Haftorah of Shabbos, when it occurs on the preceding Rosh Chodesh, on the day preceding Rosh Chodesh, even so, we end up only at the blessings at the aspect of Shabbos, like the blessings when a holiday occurs on Shabbos, which concludes with mentioning the aspect of the holidays as well. So Rebbe is pointing out just in the prayers, you have to be familiar with the prayers. And in the prayers, there's various things we say, and various times we say certain things. And he says, even in the prayers we see that all the time Shabbos is emphasized more than Rosh Chodesh. And even though we mention things that have to do with Rosh Chodesh, there's certain Erev prayers in the prayers we don't even mention Rosh Chodesh. So Rebbe is trying to show us that Shabbos is a higher level. When Shabbos comes on Rosh Chodesh, you look at the Shabbos more. That's the more shining part. That's the more revealed part. And we may say that this lesson, the Rebbe is going to teach us something very new, that the lesson that this teaches us is in the service of man is as follows. So what are we going to learn from this? Let's see. In the preceding Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh, remember when Rebbe teaches us, he's teaching us how things are working, but he's looking in the world at that time, at that place where he is. So that's what the Rebbe is learning. That we learn this lesson when Shabbos comes out on Rosh Chodesh, and the next day is Sunday. We learn a special lesson, and it affects the whole year. It's just some more emphasized here. The preceding of Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh, before the first of the month, it is from the beginning of creation. For behold, it says, Rosh Chodesh was instituted after the creation of the world. So first the world was created, and much later we had Rosh Chodesh. As a nuance in the wording of the Shabbos, when Hashem chose his world, he instituted Rosh Chodesh and years. That when he chose specifically, when Hashem chose his world, he instituted it on Rosh Chodesh and years. That different days. Let me say here, it's a Rosh Chodesh and years. So that when he chose specifically, and not when he created, this is what he chose, not what he created. And we can say that this is connected also with the choosing of Yaakov and his children, as the Midrash continues to say that when he chose Yaakov and his children, he instituted a Rosh Chodesh of redemption. So, which through them, Yaakov and his children, the months and the years are set. As our sages say, the Jewish people are those that sanctify the times, the new months. Whereas Shabbos, which is instituted from the beginning, moreover, before the creation, and is known that there is a Shabbos before the 6 days of creation. So therefore, Shabbos is sanctified by Hashem, by God Himself, and endures us so. So Shabbos is always from Hashem made it, always work. So here we have somebody talking about. Let's go over this. The Rebbe is talking about here that Shabbos was before Rosh Chodesh, and Rosh Chodesh, which has to do times, it has to do with being chosen. That God chose this. It has to do with choice. Mivkar, He chose this, not that He created, but He chose it. And He says, especially you say that when the Jews when we became a Jewish nation, Hashem gave us a Chodesh of redemption. So let's look at this deeper. And a deeper look at the differences between Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh is that Shabbos preceded the world, it transcends time, whereas Rosh Chodesh has a relation accepted to the world. Once Hashem chose His world, He instituted it Rosh Chodesh and the year. So once Hashem chose us, Nivka, not that He created the world, but once He chose us, He started the idea of the first of the month and years. And according to this, we may explain that the content of the lesson from the emphasis on the aspect of Shabbos more than the aspect of Rosh Chodesh Elul through preceding Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh, and moreover, that through us not even mentioning the aspect of Rosh Chodesh and Kiddush and the blessing of the Torah, and only the aspect of Shabbos, everybody is pointing out how Shabbos is much more important here. This teaches us that the service of man, I'm for my beloved, must be in a manner that at the beginning of his service he is found at a state, and a standpoint of completely transcends the world. So in other words, You could think that, let's say, namely, that the aspect of Shabbos day representing the concept of beyond limits is more felt by him than the aspect of Rosh Chodesh, which is related to the confines of the world, to the extent that in several matters of his service, only the aspect of Shabbos is felt. It's amazing, the Rebbe is saying. He's learning from this is that we have to live a redemption, a Shabbostic life. And this Shabbostic life is the most important thing. We have to know and be happy, and we realize that Hashem loves us, and see the glories, and just realize that we're in Shabbos. And even when during the week, whatever we're dealing with, we have to be this Shabbos, this mentality of Shabbos. It says, and he points it out, because Rosh Chodesh, he says, has to do with time. And Shabbos is above time, and it also points it out, we're talking about through the different brachos, the different blessings, where we just emphasize Shabbos, and many times we don't even talk about Rosh Chodesh when it comes out. As a result, that even the mentioned aspect of Rosh Chodesh does not limit the virtue on Shabbos beyond limits. Rather, on the contrary, through this, the advantage of Shabbos beyond limits is drawn down in the aspect of Rosh Chodesh. In our case, Rosh Chodesh Elul, I'm for my beloved, that this service of man will be in a manner that transcends confines and limits Shabbos. So the Rebbe is saying that he's just going over that. Now what Rebbe is talking about, that mamish, we can just be in the world and live Shabbos. We'll have to deal with things and people. I can be the state of Shabbos. That's my state. That's who I am. I'm a Shabbos Jew. I'm a redemption Jew. And that's how I live my life. No matter what I have to do, if I have to fix a car, I have to deal with this problem, that problem. But the first thing, I have to live my life. And this has greater emphasis since the Torah reading of this Shabbos is, behold, I'm placing a blessing before you today. Meaning that since the level of I am who I am, what's this? It's a very high level, Hashem himself, is placed in his inwards in a permanent and eternal matter, so Hashem places his essence into us. Indeed, he is certainly completely above limitations and confines of the world, above time, and even above time of time sequence. And which means time sequence, i.e. the level of Shabbos which transcends a mere relationship. That means, it says in a footnote, time sequence means that we're even above any concept of time. There's levels of Shabbos that are totally beyond time. And being in this state and standpoint, he does his service, the service of man, in the confines and the limitation of the world. So in other words, you're like God changing the world, basically. You're this holy Jew that we're supposed to be a light to the world, with this light of godliness. You can look at the Rebbe, some certain tzaddikim, that's all they are. They're Shabbostic. And they're in the world, and they're dealing with the major problems in the world, and people coming with all the problems, and they have to deal with it, and have to tell people, and they have to tell all their customers. But they do it in a way of Shabbos. They're above it all. This gives a special energy, a guladik energy, and you can do things much better. Now we're on number 9. Let's see what it says here. But okay. And we may add that the relationship of Parshas Re'ei to the month of Elul, namely, that the service of man in a matter that transcends confines and limits, has special emphasis on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Elul of the year 5751, 1991. So the Rebbe says not only is it special Shabbos and shows that this is how we have to be, but special is emphasized here. Why is it emphasized? Because this year it says, if we look at it's translated out in English, when you translate out, it says Hayat Shanas Niflaos Arena, that it says, and if you look at the words and you take the number in Hebrew, it has numbers, so it comes out that it will be a year in which I will show them wonders. Show them wonders is the highest level. And the way of and by way of introduction, it is known, so we're going to understand that just Shabbos, and the Rebbe said, super special. It's known, and even more now, because every day is even more special. And by the way of introduction, it is known that the service of man is in a manner that is beyond confines and limits. In its fullest service is only possible in the true and complete redemption to Mashiach. So the only way we can really be this way in a total real way is through Mashiach, whose soul is the central level of Yechidah, of the Jewish people. His soul is the essence. He's the concept of. He's the essence of us. The Yechida is called the part of the soul that's part attached to God, the essence of God, attached to God. So he is the one that's attached. He's like the general soul that we're all attached to, and through him. So it says, whose soul. So it says. Let's go from the beginning. And by way of introduction, it is known that this is explaining the importance of the Rebbe of Mashiach, why you need Mashiach, and why the more you tie yourself into Mashiach, the more you tie into yourself into God, because Mashiach is God, it's tied into God totally, tying into God. And by way of introduction, it is known that they service a man in a manner that is beyond confines and limits, in its fullest sense, is only possible in true and complete redemption through Mashiach. So only way the redemption will come through Mashiach. Why does it have to come through Mashiach? Because Mashiach is the soul, is the central level of Yechida. Is the central level of how the soul is tied into God of the Jewish people. And through him is brought about the revelation of the individual of Yechida, the Mashiach spark of each and every Jew and Jewish, namely, the fifth level, which permeates every detail of all the aspects of the godly service, as emphasized in the 5 acronyms of Elul that we mentioned above. So, Rebbe is saying this is a very important thing to understand. You have to understand why you need a Rebbe, why you need Mashiach. And there's Mashiach in every generation. Why you need the Rebbe. Why it's important to recognize who Mashiach is. Because when you attach yourself to Mashiach attaches himself to God, and when you become a Chassid Mashiach, you become a vessel that Mashiach can shine his light into you, that the Rebbe can shine his light, that whatever he wants us to do, we do, because we just want to do whatever the Rebbe wants to do. From this, we're able to lighten up our Yechida, that this level of the soul, our soul's attached into Hashem, and we're able, he gives us the power to do this. When he gets able to lit up, when everybody sees the Rebbe Malchus Mashiach and we accept it, and the Rebbe, therefore he can reveal this level of Yechida, this level of unity, of oneness, and as he reveals it, it's directly connected to each and every one, that we have the same relationship in each and every one of us, this level of a connection to God that's beyond belief, and he's able to reveal that in us. That's why we need to follow, because by following him, we reveal how our essence of this, that we're part of God, that we're mamish part of God. And this concept is exceedingly emphasized in the Shabbos Rosh Chodesh of this year. Since, why? In addition to the general concepts that I will await his Mashiach coming every day, and particularly we see after Kol Tzikitzim, everything has been finished, and I have already ended. In other words, everything that was supposed to happen is finished already. We don't need to do anything else. And we completed all the aspects of the godly service which we need to accomplish during the time of exile, as spoken many times. And as we made the world ready for Mashiach. However, we are in a special, so this is in general, this is what. Moreover, the Rebbe says, we are in a special year, which the acronym is, it will be a year in which I will show them wonders. As the days you left Egypt, so too I will show them wonders in the ultimate redemption. We have very famous in the Torah, it's that just like we saw all these great miracles. I mean, I'm sure we've all studied about the frogs and the darkness and the sea opening up and all types of miracles. They read and we should study about it. It's even more amazing. We saw these amazing miracles. So it says in times of the final redemption, we're going to see miracles greater than that. Now the Rebbe says, and that was very important. So the Rebbe says, we've already literally seen several wonders, both in regards to the redemption of individuals, as well as regarding the collective redemption, including especially in regarding to our Jewish brother in that country, Russia, that many of them went out from the constraints to abounding relief, both in the simple sense and also mainly regarding the capability to live a Jewish life according to the Torah and its commandments, to the extent that literally in recent days and in a matter of a continuous accomplishment and continuing also in these days, there was a convention of the Chabad emissaries of several nations took place in that country, in Russia, the Rebbe is saying, in which is founded the towns and cities of Lubavitch, Leiden, the Zantsna, Rostov, and Petersburg, in which the leaders of the Chabad lived and achieved accomplishments for a number of generations, that the emissaries of the leader of our generation, my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe, gathered in the capitals, that these, the Rebbe's saying, basically the Rebbe's telling us here, and finish it, that Rebbe's telling us that we see, how do you say we see wonders? What's wondrous? What's amazing? What's unbelievable? The Rebbe's telling us what's unbelievable. Here we had a country in Russia, and this country was against Judaism. It was the number one enemy. If you were religious, and if you're a Chassidic Jew, they would throw you in jail if they could. It was the number one enemy. And the previous Lubavitch Rebbe was put in jail and got sick and almost died there, and because he was just teaching Judaism. And all of a sudden, the Rebbe says, we see that the whole thing fell. There was no bloodshed, nothing. And instead of being a place that's against Judaism, it also turned around to a place that's to such a level that the Jews are getting together throughout the world, that the people who are the followers of the Rebbe and the followers of the previous Lubavitch Rebbe are getting together in the same places where if they got together 10 years before, 5 years before, exactly how much, I don't know, they would be put in jail. They could be killed. And now not only are they get together, but the government helps them, everybody's happy with them. This is the idea of redemption. You can open up and serve God, and we're talking about from this place how to make the redemption the rest of the world. So let's finish this. Okay, so therefore we said that with the emissaries of the leader of our generation, my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe. It's interesting, the Rebbe says they're emissaries from the Frierdiker Rebbe, when we know that most of them are emissaries from the Rebbe, gathered in the capital city of that country, Moscow, in order to add with advanced vigor and greater strength in spreading Torah and the wellsprings of Chabad Chassidic teaching outward, which through this the master comes, the master is the King Mashiach. So by spreading it, by them, this is what we talked about before. The Baal Shem Tov said that when you spread the wellsprings of Torah out, that's when Mashiach comes. So that's where they're there. They're doing their Mashiach's job in an open, revealed way, when before they had to be careful because they could get killed and murdered. This is just a couple of years change. And in this year itself, we are already standing at the Rosh Chodesh Elul, the month of evaluation for the whole year. And the conclusion of the evaluation is Ad Masai, which is one. In other words, one. Rebbe is saying when we really evaluate everything we did and everything was supposed to be, we realize that we've done so much, and that Hashem should realize, and Hashem should know, and it's self-evident that we should start yelling and screaming, Ad Masai, until when? Ad Masai, until when? When is this dark gullus going to go away? We've done everything. This is the Rebbe saying. This is what we're learning from all this, from all the wonderful things and the things that are changing. We have to understand that we need to have no more that we have to have problems. No more we have to have an idea of Russia like it was before. However, it's possible that at the end of 11 months of the year, I will show them wonders out. Oh, our righteousness has not yet come. So the Rebbe is saying, how is it possible that, I'm going over them so I didn't get this right, how is it possible that at the end of 11 months of a year, that I will show you wonders? This is the name, this is, as we said, this is the name of this year, Tafshin Nun Aleph, that out of our righteous reveal has not yet come. How is it possible that Melech Mashiach hasn't revealed himself to the world, the King Messiah? And in the wording of the Parsha of the week, behold, I'm placing a blessing before you today, namely that the entire spectrum of blessing, including and first and foremost the main blessing of the true and complete redemption, that it does not suffice that we hear and understand. Here he, the Mashiach, comes. Rather, he must be seen with fleshy eyes clearly as King Mashiach, and not only that I will show them in the future tense, rather behold in the present tense as a command. So we have to say that Hashem shows the Rebbe right now in front of our eyes. Now we're in number 10, and more specifically in connection with redemption. See, we're going to quit here, and then let's already, and then we'll try and Sei gesund, everybody. With Hashem, we should live Mashiach, and everything you do, we should do as Mashiach. As the Rebbe says, we